Hey, what's going on, friends? My podcast every day is broken up into 2 parts on the free platform. The first part, Act 1, is right now. When it's all done, go right on over to Act 2 to get the second half of the podcast. Thank you so much for checking out my show. Hello to you all. Welcome in. Your old pal EZ is here, though late. My apologies. It does happen. Fridays are a little wonky for me because, I got to get this started an hour earlier. And contrary to what some may think, from the time my little peepers open to the time I lay my beautiful head down, I am moving and hustling and working and grinding. And I've on Fridays especially, I go a great long time without getting my chores done. And my chores are preparing the show. So if on a typical day, things are going well, I am done. I have transitioned from whatever I'm working on to focusing on only this podcast. Getting everything in order so that the podcast is taken care of appropriately. What I mean by that is like, what am I talking about? What am I addressing? What's happening? What's going on in the world? So at 2 minutes to the top of the hour, I have none of my things completed from the previous set of things that I was working on for the radio station, for the radio show. And also, of course, nothing actually done for this show. I managed to get it done, and then the show gets started, albeit late, a few minutes late, which never makes me happy. And I know that, and for the audience, typically, most are like, yeah, whatever, But, there's the handful who are like, let's go! Let's go, it's time, asshole! Like Matt here, he's a dick. He writes 9 a.m. intro, 10 a.m. start. Well, what I like to do, asshole, is I'll start the show, and it takes a little time for the audience to build. So typically I will start the show and then run to the boys' room and then wash my hands, not really, and then sit down and do the show. And by that time, it's already allowed you to get wound up and resume your goal of being a cock. Tyler says perhaps you should hire Molly to be your producer. Yeah, she's another one. She's another one who's like, I'm pissed off. The show's not starting on time, and it stops 10 minutes before it's really supposed to be done. Well, look, nothing is like for sure. I mean, I've made it very clear that if I don't have shit to talk about, fuck it. I'm not going to waste your time sitting here trying to make it seem like I've got something interesting to say. Linda says, how about we don't put EZ in a bad mood to start the show? I don't think that can happen today, Linda, but I appreciate that. Because there's a lot of exceptional things happening. Despite the fact that my property may be completely destroyed up north, I communicated with this fella via the radio station. So the radio station is back on the air, and so people request songs all the time. And there's one guy who goes by EL. And I know for a fact, just by talking to him, that his place is maybe 2 to 3 miles from where Fear Bunker North is. And, boy, these bags under my eyes are really embarrassing. They're so big. God, I hate that. I'm getting so old. Biomarkers. So knowing that EL is right by my place, I'm like, hey, buddy, what's it look like at your place? Oh, trees down everywhere. I'm like, shit. I go, now are they little trees or big trees or medium-sized trees? I'm hoping medium to little. Because if they break 2/3 of the way up, no big deal. But if a tree uproots at the base and it's a big one and lands on my dwelling, that's the only thing I'm worried about. Because I can fix. If it's a mess, I can pick up a mess. I'm not worried about that. Tomorrow at about this time, I will be with the survey team, which is no one. It's just me. Probably with a dart, a Newport dart, looking at the wreckage. Kyle with bring your chainsaw and Crocs. Oh, believe me, I am. Linda says, please do a Facebook Live update. Without a doubt, everything will be documented. You will see everything that happens. Chris says it might be time to park the fraud bus up there, put it on blocks, and take the wheels off. So that was interesting talking to my man EL about that. But Maureen says, do you need me and my chainsaw? Do you need me and my chainsaw to help? Fun fact, I've got a little chainsaw. By the way, I picture that thing to look like a Little Tikes. Like it doesn't even run on gas. It's one of those ridiculous electric ones. So as I was getting ready to start this show, it dawned on me. I have absolutely nothing in the hopper to talk about. This is going to be one of those, can I get through this show on instinct and ability and whatever it is I can pull out of my asshole. Now, when I say to you, I'm only going to talk about so much for so long because I don't have anything left to talk about. If I were to maintain that right now, I would now just go, hey, that's all I have to say. The podcast is over because I am in that boat. Now, I did at the last second scramble and come up with some interesting things that I can focus on. But for the most part, it's not abundant. I'm not too concerned, though. I've done this before. I've managed to make it through. But today is interesting, and one of the reasons why I'm so excited is when you live a life like me in this house for as much as I am, I don't really venture out of the house except to go to the arena for sporting events. And I've said this before, even just trips to Meijer are like, oh my God, I get to go to Meijer. Holy shit, this is awesome. And it's really bizarre. So the fact that I've got all these things going on now in the next 24 hours is enough to kind of like a little excitement for the unknown. I am reasonably excited to see how devastated the property is. And I'm always excited to be up there. But like today, after this podcast, there are two enormous things that have to happen. First of all, because I talked to you about how I burnt my hair with my hair straightener, there's a burn on, like the hair's brown. It's burnt because I kept the hair straightener on the hair. I didn't keep moving the hair straightener, and I burnt my hair. And like, Easy, why are you using a hair straightener? Well, it's long. And I had to use a hair straightener because it's so fucking curly. I have now committed to cutting it all off. So it's getting removed today. Now, I'm not buzzing it. It's just going to be back to being really, really short. Then I committed to, I have a new prospective client to be marketing on the show who just reached out. I had cold called this guy, and I said, hey, your business would be great on my show. And I think I might have mentioned it. It was a pinball guy. I'll just say it. It's Pinball Land in Rockford, Michigan. Guy by the name of Ryan. And I reached out to him and just sent an email. Say, hey, I think you'd be a great fit on my podcast, buddy. And he responded and he goes, well, yeah, let's talk. And I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. I love that. You know, that's the we have to have that on this free podcast. And this guy's story is he had an old pinball machine in his basement, from what I understand. And after years, it kind of was in disrepair. And he went ahead and brought it back to life. And then that got and opened up like a hobby for him. So he had several machines on his premises. Then he said, you know what? I'm gonna open up a business, and people can come play my pinball machines. And so he did that, and now it's become a full-on arcade, like old school arcade with pinball machines and stand-up video games. So nostalgia is worth money. There is no question, the value in nostalgia. So you walk in there, you give them like a few bucks, and then you play for a whole hour, and you don't have to pump quarters into it. So I was like, you know, this place would be great for me. And I was tipped off to this place by Adam Balboa, audience member who I didn't even know this place existed. This is how this podcast works. People doing things like this. Hey, EZ, I think that this would be a good fit for your podcast. And he had been, for like a year, he's been banging on my door saying, have you reached out to these guys yet? Have you reached out to these guys yet? And I'm like, no, not yet. And so I finally did it. So today, he says to me, he's like, well, can you come see me on Friday? Now, I'm super busy, but we're talking dollars and cents here. The quickest way to get me to move my fat ass is when dollars and cents are involved. And I said, well, I'm thinking to myself, I could just say, well, how about next week or something like that? Or I could just say, hey, that sounds great. I'll come see ya. So busy as a beaver because it goes haircut, pinball land, hockey game. That's right. Van Andel Arena. Yoda Whirl says pinball is coming back. Jeremy says it's true. There are something like 50 people who play in the league that I play in. Let me just tell you, if this goes the way I see it, we will be having EZ Show pinball tournaments there. And I'm going to win. All right? I will kick anybody's ass in pinball. Hi, Bruce. Clown of Carnage says Pinball Land is great. My son loves going. The owners seem to be nice people. Chris says, I just watched an episode of Modern Marvels about pinball machines. There is a quarter mile of wiring in the average machine. Oh, my God. Maureen says, that's a fun fact. It is a fun fact. Oh, my God. You recognize your fun fact. Does Pinball Land have booze? I can't find it on their website. So what they do is up in Rockford, there is a, I don't know if I want to say organization, but there's a downtown Rockford initiative of participating businesses. And if you are a participating business, let's say food or drink, you can get your food or drink from one of those participating businesses and then go into Pinball Land and consume your drinks. What they're trying to establish in that community is going in and out from the respective businesses is like almost like one big amusement. You know, like you might go into pinball land, or you might go into so-and-so bowling alley or so-and-so bar or so-and-so restaurant, and you're going from place to place, and you can then do what you're talking about doing that way. So there is booze, but not their booze. Does that make sense? Let's see. I don't know why you're saying no booze, because you can bring booze into there from those area businesses. All right. Jeremy writes, I'm looking at the list of games at Pinball Land. He's got a good collection of really good games. I'll have to check it out soon. All right. Megan's beginning her own podcast. You're doing it again, by the way. Megan's personal conversations are now happening. Hey, Chris, I don't remember if you have kids, but have you ever watched Mighty Machines? It's like Kid Modern Marvels. Okay. Rein it in. Reel it in. Let's talk podcasting. Let's keep our eye on the goal here. Relax. There was a issue with the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast. We did the show, and my God, was it a good time. It was so much fun. And we went ahead, and I didn't actually post it. My apologies. It is up right now. And it couldn't have been more fun. We focused a lot on Ben Glaze and the comedic stylings of Ben Glaze. We even put up a whole 7.5 minute bit of Ben Glaze stand-up. We had audio video from January of 2020 of Ben doing stand-up. And boy, was it something. It was a good time. So there you go. Pooh Bear is off for spring break. A lot of people are off for spring break. My whole neighborhood is just desolate. People are traveling. But Pooh Bear is with your old pal Easy, and she got to sleep in today. That is nice. And so she is helping out. That's so nice to have her here and all that stuff. So she's here for the next week. You know how it is with teachers. They get plenty of time off. Oh, my God. By the way, Megan, there was a moment in the show during the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast that might have been my favorite. She was, I guess they're redoing portions of their home. And part of this had to do with redoing like some of the areas where the kids are, maybe a bedroom. And she talked about how cleaning up after kids can be a little bit gross. The speculation about why the room was gross led to a lot of funny moments, complete with her responding with, "Oh, no, don't do that. Please don't do that. Don't say that." It was outstanding. Tyler says it's about time teachers had a break from school. They work too hard. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, I saw, speaking of sponsors, there was I've been seeing signs for a guy who is like a handyman. And he's a veteran. Now, that's a good thing. If you are a veteran and you have a business, there is no doubt that if you have in the name of your business a descriptor that indicates that you are, in fact, a veteran, people are going to hire you because of that. People seek that out. Like if they had to choose between having a project done by this person, this person, and this person, and the third one is whatever, something vets. I'm a veteran appliance repair, especially where I live. You're going to get business. So I saw a guy who is doing that. And Pooh Bear says, "What? That's a lead for the show. The sign, working on so-and-so's house in the neighborhood." And I go, "Yeah, it is." Kyle writes, "How do you know if you're in a room with a veteran? Don't worry, they'll tell you." So I am going to call upon this veteran business. Now, if it goes well, there is going to have to be a time when I have the conversation where I say, "Hey, I want you to know that I've been busting veteran balls forever. It's been a running gag on my show." Okay? And I'm going to have to be like very upfront with them. Say, "Look, I've been saying that veterans are psychopaths and, just crazy shit. And, I would hate it if I brought dude in and he's like excited about me, but if he isn't aware of what's happening, that would be a real bummer. If he's sitting there and saying, 'Oh, I'm so excited about marketing on this podcast,' and then he hears some dumb rant about veterans, if he's not aware. So you kind of have to get people aware, because if someone is not aware and they hear me doing those jokes that I do about veterans, it's not going to go well. That happened on Who Are These Broadcasters, when that fucking idiot was so bent out of shape because I made a crack about wrestlers or about veterans, because I was talking about collegiate wrestling. And I said, everybody in wrestling seems dumb. And then I said, they seem like the type of people who would join the military. And now that's all ridiculous. But it's par for the course for me. And that caused one guy to just completely lose his shit. And I want to play it again because it was just so much fun, and I've got nothing else going on today, so why not?
Not going to be corny at all, Carl. And you can put this on whichever show you want, WATP, Who Are These Socials, whatever. But you need to fire Eric Zane. And I mean fire him off your entire network.
Listen to how pissed he is. You need to fire him.
To fire Eric Zane. And I mean fire him off your entire network because of what he said today about the military.
Okay, now it should be noted that I work for free for Carl. Well, I get tips. They're called super chats. That's it. The viewers that we generate, Carl gets paid from the platform because people watch the show and then ads play, and Carl gets paid for that. I get tips. So Carl said, "I'm not going to fight. You don't even really have a job."
And his flippant remarks was dishonored the men and women who have died for our freedom. Okay? I usually am not a Karen. I usually am not offended easily, but given the chance to even apologize, he just basically flipped us the bird. So I'm done. I'm not done with you, but I'm done with him, and I may be done with you if you don't do something about him. This is not a threat. It's just basically, I think you need to know how people feel. Thanks a lot, Carl. Bye.
He was the only person that felt that way. He was so pissed off. No, everybody else saw through the charade, and it's just ridiculous. Molly says this guy is ungodly pissed. Tyler says you can actually hear him wiping his tears. Maureen says, he is both a Karen and offended easily. Hey, O'Neill. Chris says it sure sounded like a threat. That's bad. That is bad. So if I am able to get this guy from Appliance Repair by Vets or whatever the business is, I'm not yet saying it. We're going to have to get to that point. Tyler says, this isn't a threat. It's just me telling you that if you don't do what I want, I will take action against you. All right, I'm curious as to what that guy's going to do because, I'm done with EZ. I'm going to be done with you, Carl, if you don't fire him. Well, Carl didn't do anything. So does that mean that guy is completely not going to participate? He was back, by the way, that same guy. And when we did Who Are These Broadcasters? Now, like I said, you got to pay money for your comments to be seen on the screen. And so the previous week, that guy paid $2 and said, I demand you apologize. So I posted his tipped chat or super chat showed up on the screen. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's pissed off. And then that led to the voicemail. That led to Reddit threads where he was just demanding I be canceled, and no one was interested. They were all just like, Jesus, shut up, dude. And then this most recent week, which is 7 days after the first one, he's back, and he has more than one YouTube account. So there's several different, like there's him, known as the Duke of the Dabbleverse, and then there was another one too. And he went under the other one, which I don't remember what the handle is. And he paid two more dollars. And it said, I too was offended at what Eric Zane said. And it's still him, And so that one shows up on the screen. And then we showed that. And then Christian said, all right, EZ, you're on your own for this one. I cannot, you said something that upset this guy, so the floor is yours. So I went, thank you, Christian. Look, ladies and gentlemen, Duke of the Dabbleverse wants me to apologize. And after looking back at what I said, so everybody's thinking there's an apology coming. And then I see the comments coming in that the audience can't see, but I can see. And it says, don't do it. Don't give in. Don't be a pussy. Don't do this. Don't do that. So everybody's believing that I'm starting this apology. Christian is not on the screen. And I go, I just wanted to say that the words that I said, I know offended people. And when I said that college wrestlers look dumb, they're probably the people that go into the military. When I said dumb, I didn't mean all veterans. I just meant the stupid ones. Like Pat Tillman, for example. Or American Sniper Chris Kyle. People like that. That's who I was talking about when I said the stupid ones. All those guys that stormed the beaches of Normandy in World War II. Those idiots. Those dumb bastards. Those are the people that I was talking about as being stupid. The Revolutionary War. The Civil War. Those dumbasses. So not all veterans. I'm talking like the ones in Vietnam. All right? Now, not all of them are stupid. So I needed to clarify that just so everybody is on the same page. And then people are like, yeah, bravo, get him. Oh, my God, yes. Rebecca says, if Duke paid you for an apology through Cameo, would you do it? What I would do is I would do similar to what I just did. I'd get him zigging, and then I'd zag him. You're always throwing it turning it on its side, putting it on its ear. You can never, ever, ever, no matter what happens, ever again, am I allowed to have someone say, I demand that you do this, and then you do it? That is not happening. No way. Impossible. David says you got to double down at that point. Triple down. And each double and triple down has to be harder. Harder. You go hard in the paint. Ugh, Ben Wallace. Ugh, Dikembe Mutombo. Boom. Oh, my God. I like how Chris said, you got to understand, Chris D got in on the Reddit action with this guy because this guy was trying to cancel me. We got to take him out. We got to take him out. Chris says, dude, the whole thing is a troll. From beginning to end, he is trolling everyone. This is not a show for like just sitting around being nice to each other. The whole thing is ball busting. Megan says, we joined the American Legion. The old men love telling us their veteran stories. Now, that's a wonderful thing right there. Talk about fun, entertainment, and supporting. I cannot encourage that enough, joining the American Legion, which, regular schmoes like you, Megan, and me can join the Legion. I don't think we can join the VFW, though, right? Don't you have to actually... I guess I don't know. If you go in there, you pay your dues. You drink the less expensive beer. A nice dimly lit Legion Hall, sometimes a bowling alley equipped to it. Typically, you have almost a museum inside of there. Amazing pictures from eras gone by. My mom had to sign me up because she's a vet. I'm an auxiliary member. And then the Legion makes money. And then those guys get together and, they might do like a toy drive for the kids. And it's a great place to get shit-faced and tell those stories. On a Friday or Saturday, my God, you can get great stories, great food, possibly even finger banged. Or a blowy, it's the best. The one in Grayling, the Legion in Grayling, they've got a Sherman tank on the front lawn, a cannon, and a Korean War era jet, fighter jet, displayed on the front, attached to a fucking bowling alley. Oh, it's great. And I'll never forget going in there to bowl because it's dirt cheap to bowl. The guy that was there giving us spraying the shit in the bowling shoes and giving us the bowling shoes, he had literally one tooth. And I think he's still there now. We call them Gummy. And, you can actually say, hey, Gummy, how are you? I'm good, man. I'm good. Chris says, let's not forget the toaster oven cheeseburgers. Holy shit. On some fish sticks. Gummy, fish sticks sound great. Okay, you got fries, steak, and piece of fries. You want crispy fries or waffle? Gummy, whatever you want. We'll take the fish sticks. The frozen mega pizza afterwards is good. And if you got a hamburger, make a beautiful right in the toaster oven. Megan says, tank story. The Armory on 44th Street, someone lived in the tank for a few months. Yeah, those are Abrams tanks there. There's two of them. One morning, they saw the guy climb out and then sealed up the hatch on the tank. Oh, my God. Jeremy says the chat is filled with fun facts today. What was I going to talk about next? I forget now. That's pretty common on an ADHD Friday. Forget how we even got here. I think I got here because Chris says it's not an Abrams tank. It's not? I thought it was an M1A1 tank out there on 44th Street. There's two of them. By the way, those tanks do run. I was close to getting the Michigan National Guard, or was it the Army or the National Guard? I think it was the Army as a sponsor. It was the craziest thing. I ran into the recruiters at an event, and they listened to the podcast. And I go, so hey, they actually said, hey, can we advertise in the podcast? I go, well, yeah, you can advertise in the podcast. I can do that. And then they said, well, we can't. I don't know if we can. I mean, we'd like to, but we have to be careful because we can't be affiliated in any way with someone who slanders the commander in chief. And I go, well, I'm going to do that every day, no matter who's in office. They go, yeah, we can't do that. Then we can't advertise. However, if you have a charity event or something like that, let's do it where we bring the pull-up bar, and then we'll go to all your events. So if I did a chili cook-off, or back when we were doing the car show at Megan's, or even the Great Food Giveaway, the Army would show up, and what you do is you bring the pull-up bar. And then the locals show up, and they're like, oh, hey. And they say, hey, want to do some pull-ups? And the guys go, yeah, sure. So then they get on the pull-up bar, and they can't do one. So then the Army guy says, boy, well, hey, you gave it your best. Would you like to be all you can be? And they're like, what? Huh? Well, yeah, we can make it so you can do 100 pull-ups. And we'll pay for your college. What do you think of that? And now, they know full well that this guy he's not college material. And they know full well that in the next war, they're going to need about 3,000 guys to be the tip of the spear to get shot. So what you do is you go, oh, my God, well, we can get you to do some pull-ups. Chicks are going to want your crank. And we're going to pay for your college. The guy's like, okay, sign me up. And then they sign him up. And then a couple years goes by. That guy's a killing machine. And then through the desert of Kuwait, they go running and attack the enemy. And these berserker, crazy-ass murderers either get shot, killed, but a lot of them are going to get through the line. And like when the bad guys were invading Wakanda. And that's what it is. And it all started with a pull-up bar. So because of that pull-up bar and advertising on the podcast, they are saving America. And that's how we do this. And then the Army doesn't have to pay for college. Chris, who actually was in the service, I don't know what branch. I think he was in the Army. He refers to those people as bullet catchers. And it's true. So that pull-up bar, if you go to the Army's website, there's a statistic near the bottom. It says pull-up bar analytics. You click on that, and it'll tell you exactly how many people have enlisted in the Army, volunteered, because of the actual pull-up bar, and how many lives have been sacrificed because of the pull-up bar. I think the number is like 30 or 40 million American young men and women have signed up because of the pull-up bar. And something like 29.5 million have been killed from, charging into battle over the years. The pull-up bar goes back. I think the first pull-up bar that the Army used was before the Revolutionary War. They just used a tree. They didn't even have a pull-up bar. They just held up a sign and said, "Hey, join the Army. Let's beat back the Brits." They only had like 3 guys in the Army, and they would go from town to town. Are you strong enough to be in the Army? And then, they said, "We promise you college." And they go, "What's college?" And they go, "Well, that's we don't know yet, but when we figure it out, you're going to get it for free." And so all these guys with their tri-point hats would do pull-ups on trees. And eventually that helped birth a nation. So the Army could not actually sign up for the podcast for some weird reason. Something about I talk too much shit. Amanda says there was college back then, Eric Zane. No, there was not. That's a fact. College didn't start till the 1920s in most parts of the U.S. Tyler says back then they promised a 4th grade education.
Not going to be corny at all, Carl. And you can put this on whichever show you want, WATP, Who Are These Socials, whatever. But you need to fire Eric Zane. And I mean fire him off your entire network because of what he said today about the military. And his flippant remarks, which dishonored the men and women who have died for our freedom. Okay? I usually am not a Karen. I usually am not offended easily, but given the chance to even apologize, he just basically flipped us the bird. So I'm done. I'm not done with you, but I'm done with him, and I may be done with you if you don't do something about him. This is not a threat. It's just basically, I think you need to know how people feel. Thanks a lot, Carl. Bye.
I think that might be every part of that. I'll listen to it, and I get like a new favorite part. There's nothing more embarrassing than having to issue an apology. And I think that the idea that, if Carl issued an apology or I issued an apology, are you telling me that would make him not mad? That would satisfy you? Isn't that silly? That's just stupid. Why would that make you feel better? Because you forced an apology. What? I mean, who goes, there? That's better. Well, that's just dumb. You can't force an apology. It has to just be, hey, I think I did something wrong. I think I should not do this, not do that. David says, when someone says that I am not a Karen, they are definitely a Karen. All right, I want to share with you a clip that I just reposted earlier today. This is nuts. It is a clip from, I don't know, sometime in the 1990s, maybe the early 2000s. It's former President George W. Bush. Let's just watch it first and listen to it, and then we will discuss it.
What's interesting about our country, if you study history, is that there are some isms that occasionally pop up. One is isolationism, and it's evil twin protectionism, and it's evil triplet nativism. So if you study the 20s, for example, there was There was an American First policy that said, who cares what happens in Europe? Well, what happened in Europe mattered eventually because of World War II. There was Smoot-Hawley, which was a part of an economic policy, which basically said we don't want trade. In other words, let's throw up barriers. And there was an immigration policy that I think during this period argued we had too many Jews and too many Italians, therefore we should have no immigrants. And my point to you is we've been through this kind of period of isolationism, protectionism, nativism. I'm a little concerned that we may be going through the same period. What's interesting about our country,
that was a long time ago. Actually, I don't know when this took place, but the quality of the video tells me this is several years old. Okay. Now, one could easily make the argument that that is precisely what is happening right now as we speak. First of all, I didn't know that George W. Bush was that bright. I thought he was a moron. I didn't know that he actually had sense. I don't recall that. I thought as soon as he got into the White House, he was wildly inept and an idiot. Isn't that what you recall? I mean, I recall him just stepping in it all the time with stupid shit over and over again. Oh, I hated his presidency. My God. So I didn't know he was that smart. Second of all, is that exactly what is happening right now? And I guess the next question is are these bad things? Does that isolationism, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be another world war. But it does kind of make the hairs stand up on end, does it not? Chris said that's just how he sounded and how the media portrayed him. Maureen says, I love W's devilish grin. Aram says he said all of that very well. Okay. So is this going to, and I guess the question is, does this result in a I told you so at some point in history? We don't know. Chris says he had a lot of word scrambles. Yes, I do recall those. There's been a lot of talk about these tariffs. They have begun. And a lot of people are calling these a tax on the American people. So Trump has been, for years, decades, has been talking about why is it that countries can come in here and sell their goods and make a killing on the products that they're selling and we don't get a cut. There was a clip of him on Oprah Winfrey that I should pull up here. Trump on Oprah tariffs. This is it.
Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down.
I don't know if that's it. Yeah, it is it.
You took out a full-page ad in major U.S. newspapers last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything.
I don't know why we can't see that. You should be able to see that. Oh, okay, there it is. Now we can see it. Sorry. Let me play that again.
Last last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And, hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not.
By the way, 1988, Trump was very well respected then. No one avoided Trump. If you had a chance to have Trump on or talk to Trump, it was a big deal.
Do you want to run? Would you ever?
Probably not. But I do get tired of seeing the country ripped off.
Why would you not?
I just don't think I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it.
Also, it doesn't pay as well.
No, it doesn't. But, you know, I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally, because I really am tired of seeing what's happening with this country, how we're really making other people live like kings, and we're not.
What do you think of this year's presidential race, the way it's shaping up?
Well, it's going to be very interesting. I think that probably George Bush has an advantage in terms of the election. I think that probably people would say that he's got like that little edge in terms of the incumbency, etc.
Look at this chick's hair. Look at the giant hair.
Et cetera. But I think Jesse Jackson's done himself very proud. I think Michael Dukakis has done one hell of a job. And George Bush has done a hell of a job. You know, they all went in there sort of.
He was much more diplomatic and less offensive when he was young.
The semi-underdogs, including George Bush, and they've all come out. I think people that are around.
Much more measured.
All three of those candidates can be very proud of the jobs they've done.
You've said, though, that if you did run for president, you believe you'd win.
Well, I don't know. I think I'd win. I tell you what, I wouldn't go in to lose. I've never gone in to lose in my life. And if I did decide to do it, I think I'd be inclined. I would say that I would have a hell of a chance of winning, because I think people, I don't know how your audience feels, but I think people are tired of seeing the United States ripped off. And I can't promise you everything, but I can tell you one thing. This country would make one hell of a lot of money from those people that for 25 years have taken advantage. It wouldn't be the way it's been, believe me.
Believe me. So the problem with that is, so now he's doing this. He's going ahead and he's doing everything that he talked about however many years ago. But the rub is, you're going to pay for it. Okay? Like Amanda, she's one of our dumber audience members. We all know that. She writes, hell yeah, yeah. You know you're paying for that, right? I'm paying for that. We all are going to pay for that. This is a tax, morons. If you take up all of the dollars and cents that these countries are going to have to pay, don't think for 1 second that they're just going to go, well, I guess we make less money. No, everything goes up. Everything goes up. So now we pay. Now, for starters, that's going to suck. But, I don't know. Does this mean that eventually it'll plane out, or we'll figure? I don't know. All I know is that in the meantime, you're all going to be paying, and we're all going to be paying much more for everything. Okay? And it also means that everybody hates us. Amanda says everything goes up if we get it from another country. Buy American. You cannot. There is nothing you purchase that is 100% American. Nothing. Even the American flags you buy. It's a global economy. This might have made sense 50 years ago. Rebecca says the point is to buy American-made products that we don't currently manufacture here, and once it's here, you're paying more to compensate for American wages. You know, he did do this. Trump did this in 2016 with the hope of these companies having their business here. You know how many of them did that? None. Not one. Not a single company said, well, we might as well just build a factory in the U.S. It's not going to happen. They're just going to pay the tariff, and then you're going to take it out of your asshole, you idiots. Why do you like this shit? All right, that is Act 1 of the podcast. Act 2 is available right after this one. Go check it out. What are you doing? Don't miss a second of it. Thank you so much.